The first thing you must understand is that the Hall of Accord was not built for humans. It was carved from the fused bones of extinct megafauna, rib arches rising like cathedral spines, polished smooth by centuries of reverence and fear. Bioluminescent veins ran through the walls, pulsing in slow, dignified rhythms meant to calm predators and impress prey. The air was carefully balanced for 7 dominant species, warm enough for the Sorinth, dry enough for the Keeler, thin enough for the floating Alothi. For humans, it felt like standing inside a living thing that tolerated your presence, but did not welcome it. I stood alone at the center dais, hands clasped behind my back, wearing a plain black uniform with no medals, no rank markings, no colors. Just fabric, stitched tight, clean boots, and the faint scar line along my jaw that never quite faded. Across from me, on a throne grown organically from crystal and chitin, sat Queen Veilrix of the 13 constellations. She was magnificent in the way storms are magnificent, beautiful, lethal, and completely indifferent to who they destroy. Her crown hovered above her head, a halo of rotating shards inscribed with the victories of her lineage. Her eyes, 4 of them, regarded me with open boredom. Her mandibles clicked softly as she leaned back, one clawed hand resting against the arm of her throne. Around us, the Galactic Assembly watched. Generals plated in war steel, diplomats wrapped in silk and lies, elder scholars whose lifespans exceeded the recorded history of my species. They whispered, shifted, calculated. Humanity had been invited as an observer species. Not an equal. Not yet. Human, Queen Veilrix said at last, her voice amplified through the hall by organic resonators. You have been silent for most of these proceedings. I was not asked to speak, I replied calmly. A ripple of amusement passed through the assembly. Some species laughed outright. Others tilted their heads, intrigued by the lack of deference. The Queen's eyes narrowed just a fraction. Your species petitioned for recognition, she said. And yet you send this. She gestured lazily at me. 1 soldier. No banners. No tribute. I am not a soldier, I said. Not anymore. That earned a few murmurs. Veilrix leaned forward, her throne shifting with her weight. Then what are you, human? I met her gaze without lowering my eyes. That alone caused several delegates to inhale sharply. My name is Elias Ward, I said. I am here to answer questions you believe will expose our weakness. A pause. Then laughter. The Queen laughed openly, a sharp, chiming sound that echoed through the hall. Confidence from a species that has barely left its cradle, she said. Tell me, Elias Ward, how many wars has your people fought? I did not answer immediately. This was the moment they expected bravado, or shame, or exaggerated numbers meant to impress and fail. Instead, I breathed out slowly. 99, I said. The Hall of Accord went silent. Not the polite silence of court etiquette. The dead silence of predators realizing the prey just spoke their language fluently. Queen Veilrix blinked. Once. Twice. 99, she repeated, slower now. You exaggerate. No, I said. I counted carefully. A murmur swelled into confused chatter. Some delegates began pulling data slates. Others whispered to aides. A few simply stared at me as though I had spoken an ancient curse. The Queen straightened. 99 wars would have annihilated your species, she said coldly. Even the Keeler shattered after 40. We shattered many times, I replied. We just kept rebuilding. Her mandibles flexed. Clarify. I nodded once. We began fighting ourselves before we learned to leave our planet. Tribal conflicts, nation-states, ideological wars, resource wars, religious wars. Wars fought, because someone thought the other side deserved to stop existing. And you survived, she said. Yes.
How?
I considered the question. Because humans are very bad at knowing when they're supposed to die. That drew uneasy laughter from the fringe of the hall. Valrix rose from her throne. She was taller than I was, her presence dominating the chamber. When she descended the steps toward the dais, the floor responded, growing traction spines beneath her feet. You expect us to believe your species endured 99 wars and emerged worthy of recognition? She asked. No, I said. I expect you to understand why we don't fear one more. That finally did it. A Sorinth warlord slammed his tail against the floor. This is absurd. Humans are fragile, short-lived. Their technology is crude compared to ours. I turned my head slightly, acknowledging him without fully facing away from the queen. You are correct, I said. Individually, we are fragile. That is why we don't fight as individuals. I raised my left sleeve, exposing the thin metal band embedded in my forearm. This contains the archived memories of every human conflict. I continued. Tactical failures. Psychological collapse points. Medical advancements born from desperation. We learn from our wars whether we win or lose. Valrix's eyes flicked to the band. You carry your wars with you, she said slowly. Yes. Why? So we don't repeat them, I said. And so we remember the cost. The queen circled me now, slow and deliberate. How many of these wars were against other species? She asked. 3, I said. That surprised them. Only 3, she scoffed. Yes. We lost the first 2. The hall tensed. And the third? Valrix asked. I met her gaze again. We survived. That was when the Alothi observer floated forward, tendrils trembling. Records show the Varkun hegemony ceased to exist 72 cycles ago, it said. Are you claiming responsibility? I am stating a sequence of events, I replied. They attacked a human colony. We attempted diplomacy. They refused. We adapted. How? The queen demanded. We studied their psychology, I said. Their command structures. Their cultural taboos. Then we removed their ability to wage war. Genocide, someone hissed. No, I said sharply. Disarmament. We dismantled their fleets, neutralized their leadership, and flooded their information networks with truth until their own people refused to fight. Silence again. You broke them without destroying them, Valrix said quietly. Yes. She stopped in front of me. And how many humans died? I swallowed. Enough that we still say their names. For the first time, the queen did not look amused. Your 99 wars, she said. Were they all victorious? No. How many did you lose? I did the math in my head, though I knew the number already. Depend how you define lose, I said. If losing means failing to achieve the original objective, 46. A stunned whisper rippled through the assembly. And yet you stand here, Valrix said. Alive. Unified. We are unified because of those losses, I replied. Every war taught us something about ourselves. What we are capable of. What we must never become. The queen returned to her throne slowly. You do not posture like conquerors, she said. Yet you speak like survivors. That is because conquest is easy, I said. Survival is hard. She studied me for a long moment. What happens when humans face their 100th war? She asked. I did not hesitate. Then we will fight it with everything we've learned from the previous 99, I said. And we'll still try to end it. A low, resonant hum filled the hall as the assembly's translators struggled to convey the weight of that statement across species. Queen Valrix Saturday, the constellations respect strength, she said. but we fear endurance. She raised one clawed hand. Humanity will be recognized, not as an observer, but as a threshold species. Gasps erupted. A species whose entry marks a shift in the balance of the galaxy, she continued. You will be watched, tested. I nodded. We expected that. Her eyes glinted. Tell me, Elias Ward, she said softly. Why send you? I thought of the graves, the hospitals, the burned skies of worlds rebuilt from ash. Because I am tired of war, I said. And because I know exactly what it costs. The Queen regarded me in silence. Then slowly she inclined her head. Proceed carefully, humanity, she said. The galaxy is not kind. I allowed myself a small, tired smile. We know, I said. Neither are we. As I turned and walked from the Hall of Accord, the whispers followed me, not mocking now, but wary. Behind me, carved into living crystal, the hall recorded a new entry. War count, 99, and somewhere far beyond the stars, the galaxy quietly began to count its own chances. The Hall of Accord sealed behind me with a sound like a heartbeat stopping. Only then did my knees threaten to give out. I walked until the bioluminescent arches faded into the outer corridors, where translators didn't hover and history wasn't being written into living stone. A human security detail waited there, 4 men and women in matte armor, faces carefully neutral. Captain Rios stepped forward. You okay, sir? I nodded once. That was all I could manage. They escorted me to the observation balcony overlooking the capital world of Valrix's empire. From here, the city spread outward like a living circuit, spires breathing light, traffic drifting through the air in disciplined patterns. It was beautiful and fragile. Behind me, the doors opened again. Queen Valrix emerged alone. No guards, no crown, just her. The human detail stiffened instantly, hands drifting near weapons that would be useless if she chose violence. I raised a hand, stopping them. It's all right, I said. She wouldn't have come alone if she meant harm. Valrix studied me, something unreadable in her 4 eyes. You speak as if you know me. I know rulers, I replied. And I know guilt. That landed harder than I expected. She moved to the balcony's edge, gazing down at her city. 99 wars, she said quietly. Do you know how many my people have fought? I waited. 12, she said. We won all of them. I nodded. That's usually how it starts. She turned sharply. Explain. When you only win, I said, you start believing victory means righteousness, that your survival proves your choices were correct. And you disagree. I think survival just means you were stubborn enough to endure the consequences. The Queen was silent for a long time. Your species frightens the Assembly, she said at last. Not because of your weapons, but because you remember your dead. I felt the old ache settle in my chest. We don't get to forget them. Valrix's mandibles flexed. When you said you were tired of war, that was not weakness. No, I said. It was experience. She studied my face, then did something no one in the hall would ever believe. She bowed. Not deeply. Not submissively, but respectfully. The constellations will test you, she said. They will provoke you. They will wait for your 100th war. I know. What will you do when they force it? I looked out at the city again, at a civilization that believed itself eternal. We'll try to stop it, I said. And if we can't, we'll make sure it's the last one. Her eyes widened just a fraction. For them, I clarified. Or for us. Either way. That, finally, made her step back. You are dangerous, she said. Yes, I agreed softly, but not careless. She turned to leave, then paused. Elias Ward. Yes, Your Majesty? When historians record this day, how should they name you? I thought of the question for a long moment. Don't, I said. Name the people who didn't live to answer yours. She watched me, then inclined her head once more and disappeared into the corridors of power. 3 weeks later, the galaxy learned what threshold species truly meant. Human embassies opened on worlds that had never allowed foreign soil. Trade routes shifted. Military simulations quietly recalibrated human response times with unsettling results. Entire war doctrines were rewritten to include a new clause. Avoid prolonged conflict with Terran forces. Escalation risk. Unacceptable. Back on Earth, the news feeds argued about whether I'd embarrassed us or elevated us. Politicians claimed credit. Analysts speculated. Memes exploded. None of that mattered. What mattered was the message I recorded for the archives before the memory band in my arm was sealed for the last time. I stood in a quiet room. No flags behind me. No ranks on my shoulders. Just a human. We have fought 99 wars, I said into the recorder. Some against others. Most against ourselves. We were cruel. We were brave. We were wrong more often than we were right. I paused. But we learned. And learning is the only victory that lasts. I looked directly into the lens. If the galaxy forces us into a 100th war, let it remember this. Humans do not fight because we love war. We fight because we remember what happens when we don't stand up to it. I shut off the recorder. Outside the window, Earth turned slowly beneath the stars, scarred, living unbroken. 99 wars behind us. One lesson ahead of everyone else. And a galaxy that had finally realized humanity wasn't entering history.